And Aaron had this phrase that he told me over and over and over and over again from the moment when we found out about that brain tumor in 2011 until the last day that he could even speak in 2014. He would look me in the eye and he would tell me, Nora, it is going to be okay. And I will be honest with you, every time he said that, I was so pissed off. Okay. You can't tell a dying person that they're a liar, or that you don't want to hear them say that again. It's just too much. They really have like a lot of, they do technically get the last word. Um, but I hated that. I hated every time he said that, because how on earth was it going to be okay? Years later, and by years I mean it's been 5 years. That's really not that long, but it's some days it feels like 100 years, some days it feels like 5 minutes. I start to see this sentence a little bit differently, and I start to see this emphasis on one word in particular, which is going. Okay, it is not currently okay. It is going to be okay, but right now it is scary, it is painful, it is uncertain, it is frustrating, it is terrifying. What I want to talk about are really the practical things that we can do with this grief, how we can move forward with it into this new version of our lives. And we're going to start mainly with ourselves, because that is the only thing that we can truly control. We can't control this pandemic. We cannot control how other people are or are not reacting to it properly or complying with the things that we think they should be complying with. And so I do start here. I always start here with the acknowledgement that hard things are hard and they're supposed to be. Pain is real, and that is okay. You are feeling grief right now. Grief has always been and is now more than ever about more than death. We have always grieved and experienced grief for all kinds of loss, for the loss of relationships, for the loss of our comfort, for jobs, for our health, for plans that we thought we would get to see through. We tend to think that things will be clearer someday, that once we sort of can pull out from it, that we will have some sort of 500,000 foot view, some 50,000 foot view. I'm not great with measures. I should never try to bring them up. But right now, where you are right now is also a perspective. One of the physical and psychological effects of grief is something called grief brain. Your brain is so overwhelmed that your executive function is compromised. And those acute forms of grief that I was talking about before, those can last for 6 to 12 months after the loss. And right now we are maybe 2 months in, maybe less for some people, maybe more for others. But the point is, we are still new to this. This is taking up a lot of space for us. And we need to acknowledge that we will not be functioning at the same level that we were before. We talk a lot about resilience, and there's this idea, and whenever people ask me like, oh, how can I be resilient? You already are, because resilience is not about trying to snap back into your old shape, right? Trying to be the exact you were before, only maybe actually slightly better. No. We are changed by our experiences, and we are now a new version of ourselves. So resilience is about trying to live comfortably in this new and very, very, very uncomfortable shape. This is maybe one of my most favorite pieces of advice. Again, I want a show of hands, imaginary show of hands. How many of you have said to yourself, I should be using this time to learn a new language. Right now, I should probably be, reading to my children for 2 hours every night. And I also should be, starting another thing. And I should be doing this, and I should lose 10 pounds, and I should take up, needlepoint, and I should. There is nothing that you should be doing. There are things that you are doing, and there are things that you aren't doing. And as you update that user manual, as you understand your own recipe of this experience, your own grief recipe, as you build that boundary garden, this word should slowly but surely eradicate itself from your vocabulary. So don't should on yourself. And while you're at it, don't should on anyone else either. I want to talk a little bit about time right now. We don't actually have any more time than we did before. That is a huge fallacy. In the before times, we had a culture, a life where we pushed 36 hours of existence into 24-hour time increments. And we have let go of a few things, very, very few things, okay? Commute times, uh, time spent going to the grocery store, time spent carting our kids around to their activities, and that freed up a little bit to let the things that we needed to feel expand and take up some of their rightful space. So you don't, if you still feel like, oh gosh, I still feel extremely busy, I still feel extremely stressed out, I still feel extremely time crunched, you still are. There is no more time, but you are now feeling more things in alongside all of your former responsibilities. You are still a person with relationships, that you still have work, you still have all of these other things, you still have bills to pay, for the love of God. And on top of that, you have this crushing unease and uncertainty. So you are not somehow missing the self-actualization train. You are spending your time on the actual work of being alive and surviving. We don't move on from grief. We move forward with it. The best verbalization of it, of this idea that I've ever seen, including my own, the point is not that things are hard and then they're great. The point is not that things are great and then they're hard. The fact is that life means that we cycle through beauty and terror, wonderful things and terrible things over and over again. The point is not that it's, it's okay, or that it's just going to be okay, but that it just keeps going. So whatever you are feeling right now in this moment, if you are feeling okay-ish, or if you are feeling absolutely awful, no feeling is final. And it will be okay. I promise you, it is going to be okay. And it's going to be very, very different than it was before.